It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me today is Sean O'Neill of Annapolis. Thanks, Sean, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
The reason why he's here is an organization called Annapolis Musicians Fund for Musicians, AMFM. Tell me all about the Annapolis Musicians Fund for Musicians.
Well, we started about 15 years ago in 2005, and the idea was to create an organization that could support musicians when they fell on hard times. So, for example, if a musician breaks his finger and he can't play for 6 weeks and he loses a bunch of gigs, we could fill in the gaps so that he can make his car payment and his rent payment and things like that, and they could still be an artist.
Was there a precursor to this? Was there a musician that got sick, or do I remember?
Yeah, actually, that's funny that you bring that up, because that sort of is what brought us all together. Was we had a musician locally, I won't name him, but we'll just say there was a local musician. I was at that time helping with the Maryland Seafood Festival. I was helping organized the entertainment for that, and I was backstage talking to another musician, Meg Murray, and she was saying, we need to do this benefit concert for so-and-so, and would you mind helping out? And I said, oh, sure, I'll help out. And I said, you know what we should really do is create a fund or something so that we do a couple of big concerts a year, and then people apply for benefits, and that way you're not struggling to put these things together last minute. And she said, that's exactly what Matt McConville wants to do. And so Matt had already laid a lot of the groundwork.
And Matt is a musician.
He's a musician.
But you're a financial guy, right?
I'm a financial planner, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was thinking big picture, long term, and Matt had already started that process. So she connected me with him, and she had said, we're already starting to work on this, so you should fold yourself in. So I did. I kind of jumped on the bandwagon.
And you're a serial volunteer.
Yeah, I'm a volunteer. Yep.
You keep raising your hand.
I do. Or sometimes I get voluntold. But yeah, and this has been a passion for 15 years. So and it's been great. And so Matt joined forces with Martha Jacobs, who was a local CPA at the time, and Christian Elkington, who was an attorney, and we organized, and within a couple years we had our nonprofit status and we were up and running. So
okay, so the blurb, it says amfm.org, and that's where you can find it on the internet. am-fm.org is a nonprofit organization created to provide temporary financial relief to professional Annapolis area musicians who cannot work due to sickness, injury, or any other circumstance, leaving them unable to perform, exactly as you said. The fund acts as an emergency relief fund for lost income. Additionally, the organization provides scholarship funds to further educate young Annapolis area musicians. How many people have you helped since 2005, roughly?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I'd say well over 100. I'd have to go back and look.
But I mean, that's kind of substantial.
Yeah. And then we've also helped, we usually help about 15 middle schoolers a year at Bates Middle School. So we've been doing that for a number of years as well.
And Bates is a magnet school, a performing arts magnet school.
Exactly. Yeah.
So during this time, you make the payments directly to the mortgage holder or the car company, or do you give the money to the musicians?
We give the money to the musicians.
Okay.
There is a vetting process that we go through to verify that they've lost their gigs, and it's interesting. Now we've expanded that. So a lot of times a bar, for example, may double book, and a musician shows up and there's already a band set up, and so this happens far more frequently than people realize. And so we have to keep in mind that time is the inventory for a musician. There's only 24 hours in a day. You got to sleep just like anybody else. But when you're a talent and your window for entertaining is so narrow that when a bar takes that inventory, then that musician isn't going to have more time to make up. So we pay them a little bit for that lost gig.
Such a necessary thing.
It is, yeah. And then weather sometimes plays a role. You know, if
Outside gigs, weddings,
yeah. And then a lot of these bars, they just don't have contracts with the bands. They refuse to sign them. So we do what we can to help them out when that happens.
Let's take a short break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. In the studio with me is Sean O'Neill, talking about the Annapolis Musicians Fund for Musicians, am-fm.org on the internet. The reason why musicians, artists, need financial relief when they get injured or have an illness is because for a lot of them, they're not making much money to begin with.
Yeah, they're making bare minimum wage a lot of times. I mean, they're just excited to be out there playing and enjoy their passion. So.
And the reason why they are out there playing is exactly that. It's about passion. It's not about they're making the same amount as a financial planner, as a doctor, as a lawyer, as whoever. Artists really devote a heck of a lot of time to their art, even when you don't see them. Even when you don't see them on stage, they're back there practicing. Yeah,
it's funny you bring that up. There's a local musician, Dan Haas, who plays a lot of weddings and such, and we've actually hired him, my wife and I, for a few gigs, and people request songs, and when he's on break, he's learning that song, and sometimes a couple songs.
I saw his Facebook post about that.
Yeah, and I've seen him do it live, and sure enough, he'll come up on stage and he goes, "This was a request. I just learned it," and then he'll play it. And so
it's amazing, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that happens before a gig as well. You give him a list of songs, he doesn't know 5 to 10 of them, and so he's got to learn them. And this happens with most musicians. Yeah.
And many of these people, including Dan, for instance, I know, they're working full-time jobs, and they have families to support.
Yep.
And the music comes as they're doing it out of passion, but they're doing it in the time that they have off from their full-time job.
Yeah, exactly. So they're taking time from their family, and luckily they're making some money from it, but.
2 concerts per year, right?
Actually, we're more than that now.
Okay.
It first started as our primary fundraiser is our Christmas concert, which started as interestingly enough, that started as a CD about 20 years ago called an Annapolis Christmas, and there was the producer of that had started a concert at Ram's Head, and then Matt actually filled in, and when Matt filled in, he realized, wait a minute, we could use this as our fundraiser for AM/FM, and so AM/FM took over that concert. It was called an Annapolis Christmas, and there's 2 CDs. I think there's Annapolis Christmas 1 and Annapolis Christmas 2,
featuring Annapolis area musicians playing holiday songs, right?
Exactly. But some of them are originals, and they've become pretty popular locally, at least.
Right.
And so people come to the show so they can hear those songs live, because you can only play it at one time a year. So,
unfortunately, I like listening
to
Christmas music all year round, but they would get mad at me at WNAV for saying that.
So we started off with that, and then for a short period of time, we tried a golf tournament, and we realized, we're actually really good at putting on shows. So then we created the In the Vein of series,
right? And
Vein is spelled V-A-N-E on purpose.
Okay.
A lot of people wonder, why is it spelled wrong? And vein, it's a weather vane, as in the direction of. And the idea is to kind of capture that spirit of the Christmas show. A lot of people like to come to the Christmas show because the familiarity of the songs and hearing them in a different style, possibly. Like for example, a bluegrass version of Blue Christmas could be really awesome. And so we tried to capture that. And so we basically paid tribute to a legendary artist. So, for example, when we did In the Vein of the Beatles, it was every local artist played one Beatles song, but then they wrote a song that is influenced by the Beatles. So it could either be about them, it could be about Liverpool, it could be about something a song that's within a song, and so vein, as in VANE, weather vane, is just a general direction of. So we want to give the artists a lot of creative freedom, basically.
Because that's what artists are all about.
Exactly. And so we've done about 15 of our 15th show is coming up.
And we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
As soon as we come back from break, we're going to talk about the Pretenders. This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will be right back. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. In the studio with me is Sean O'Neill. We're talking about the Annapolis Musicians Fund for Musicians, AM/FM. He just told us all about In the Vein of shows, VANE. These are shows that are helping to provide temporary financial relief to professional Annapolis area musicians. They also help for scholarship funds to further educate young Annapolis area musicians. So that brings us to the Pretenders. Tell me about the next In the Vein of show.
Yeah, it's actually our first show where we'll be featuring a woman-led band. We had In the Vein of Fleetwood Mac, but that's not really the same. That was kind of a collaboration, but
and some contention there.
Exactly. So, but yeah, In the Vein of the Pretenders will be Chrissy Hine led band, and they're out of Akron, Ohio, and doing research now on them because in between each song, I get up on stage and give a little bit of trivia and facts about the band.
The most important fact about this concert, though, it's Monday, September 16th at 7 p.m.
It is.
Tickets are on sale now.
They are on sale now, yes.
am-fm.org is
That's
where you
right.
want to go. Okay, so that fact out of the way. Let's hear some of your cool statistics and facts about the Pretenders.
Oh boy, I'm still learning about them, but one of the things I found fascinating was she was actually at Kent State the day of the riots.
Really?
Yes. Actually, 3 bands, pretty famous bands, were there that day, including the Waitresses and Devo and the Pretenders.
Wow.
So, yeah. So that was obviously a momentous occasion.
Yeah,
so.
for our history.
But I recently learned that. Yeah.
Shout out for the musicians that will be playing in this concert on September 16th. Let's hear them.
Yeah, we have a Hoodoo Few. We have Charles Cavusi, Dan Haas, the Gina Coco Trio, Johnny Monet Band, Meg Murray, Pretty Big Deal, Out of the Blue, PJ Thomas and the Atom Bums, the Monuments, the Remnants, and Z-Band.
And then the signature All-Star finale. So do all the musicians get together and rehearse the All-Star finale in advance? How does that work? Or is it just...
It's actually almost impromptu. A couple of core musicians will get together in the back, like in the green room, while the show's going on, and they'll work out some tricky parts of the song, and then that's it. And we hand out lyrics, and the artists get up on stage and start singing.
And what are some of the more memorable moments from this over the years?
Let's see. I think that's hard to say. Let me think about which ones we did for each. Well, we just did Motown, and we did My Girl, and that was really good. Right. When we did CSNY, I'm trying to remember what song we did then. I think it was Teacher. I think it was Teach Your Children, and that was pretty good as well. So those are
CSNY, my music
Crosby,
knowledge.
Stills, Nash and Young.
All right, cool. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Crime Scene New York.
Oh, sorry.
My musical knowledge isn't all that great. Okay, there you have my dumb question for the day. Your favorite concert of all of them, though, is that the Christmas concert? Is it just what's been your favorite?
It's funny. Each time a new In the Vein of comes up, it seems like that's my newest. The Motown one was really good, and the Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was really good. And I think part of it is that the music writing from the musicians gets a little bit better each time, and they almost want to outdo each other. It becomes a competition, and they see what other people have done, and they go, "Oh, I could do better than that." So the music writing is just getting so much better, better and better and better. There was some of it was good early on, but it's funny. People are learning from previous shows, and it seems to be building blocks.
Is there an effort to make the bands and artists that are playing these shows, and actually the theme of the In the Vein of, to make it diverse as far as age, as far as style of music, as far as
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the reasons we came up with this was not just as a fundraiser, but to give more opportunity for other bands, because the Christmas show is only 2 nights. You only have so much time, right? And so many bands want to be on the Christmas show. So what we've tried to do is say, all right, we don't have room on the Christmas show, but please join us for one of these in the vein of shows. So yeah, exactly. And we do try to spread it out from young kids to older, people that have been around years.
Is there one in the future where you might have a hip hop or completely all, go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind doing that. It's what we have had is hip hop bands at shows. So for example, we had a couple of hip hop bands at the Stevie Wonder, in the vein of Stevie Wonder show, and that was a big hit. So we do try to include a variety of genres, because you could do, if you did Aerosmith, Run DMC did an Aerosmith song,
and
right?
it was great.
And it was a
one.
massive hit.
Yeah.
So we could do that with pretty much anything. And if a hip hop band comes to me and says, I really want to do Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, I'll say, sure, let's do it.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of finding the bands. That's the hardest part, is finding bands that want to do it.
Is the Christmas show on sale already?
It is not. It'll go on sale in September after the Pretenders show.
So the Pretenders, it's on sale now, am-fm.org. How did you, the financial background, that's what you do with your everyday life. Where's the music interest come from?
I don't know. I guess it's in my blood. My mom and dad were each in bands before my time. My grandmother was an opera singer at the New York Metropolitan Opera.
Wow.
So I guess it's in my blood, and I just love music. It's just one of those things that it takes you away. It changes everything. So
what's one in the vein of that you haven't done yet that you can't wait to do?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would love to do Buddy Holly. I think he was pretty momentous in the history of rock and roll. And Chuck Berry. I mean, we still haven't done Chuck Berry, and to me, he was the innovator of rock and roll. Johnny B. Goode was the song that started it all to me.
Right. The David Glazier Education Fund and the Tim King Music Performance Scholarship. Tell me about those.
Sure. The Dave Glazier Education Fund was something we put together a few years ago before Dave passed away. He was a legendary local musician, and we named the fund after him because he was dedicated to helping kids learn. And so it's a summer program that we fund. We've funded creative communities for a number of years. And this year we added the Peabody Preparatory School as we gave away 3 scholarships to kids that couldn't afford to go there. And that's at Maryland Hall.
Right. And people think of Peabody as Baltimore, but they do have the program in Annapolis also.
Yeah, exactly. And we just got word from them that the 3 scholarships we granted filled the classroom, and it made it worth it for them.
Well, that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And they were very grateful. So.
A Tim King Music Performance Scholarship.
So we have 2 different funds there. We have the Bates program that we sponsor.
What you talked about, yeah.
Yep. And then we also have the college scholarship. It's a $5,000 college scholarship. Tim King was a local actor, and he also performed live musically, and so we thought this would be a great way to pay tribute to him. And so we give away $5,000 to a graduating senior. We've done that for 2 years. This year, Abigail Michaels won it, and she's going to University of Indiana at Bloomington, and she's an oboist, and she'll major in music performance. She also sings, plays piano, and the English horn.
Lovely. All this information is, again, on the website. It's am-fm.org. Please check it out. They're doing AM/FM, the Annapolis Musicians Fund for musicians, is doing some amazing work in this community. Well, Sean, thank you for doing what you do here with this, because it's definitely needed, and I appreciate your time today.
Oh, thanks for the platform.
This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.